Hello everyone, welcome to Selhurst Park. It was glad all over. There it is. Norwich have lost here 2-0, which is a scoreline you'll be familiar with, given Norwich have lost their previous two away games 2-0 as well, of course. West Ham and then Burnley. And I think we're all trying to make the comparisons to that compared to today. We're all trying to think about what the trends are, and of course ultimately we all want to know what it means for Norwich City's season. So first of all, let me answer some questions. Am I worried? Yes, slightly. I am worried because teams that maybe haven't been playing very well or struggling are doing well against Norwich. That's not really a trend you want, because that says more about Norwich's situation. It's hard to think about this one in a degree, because I think when you look at Palace, they were probably as I expected. You have to appreciate the teams that are pretty average at this level, which I think Palace were, still look strong and capable against Norwich, and I think that is a giveaway sign of the jump Norwich have made. You know, the fact they are a newly promoted side, they're not established. There's a difference in physicality and even confidence, even when they're not confident, unless you're coming up against a side that's completely bereft of it, which I guess might be Watford at the moment. So ultimately Palace had enough to win the game, to be good enough defensively. I think I was slightly worried about the way teams away from, and again I'm kind of caveating this all as away from home, teams when Norwich travel to their place, all of them have looked pretty confident and capable in terms of stopping how Norwich play and how they want to create chances. I mean, I thought Palace did a really good job of forcing Teemu Pukki to make his runs kind of away from goal, never really directly on it. So that in itself is a sign that the teams are trying to figure out how to stop them, because they probably know if you stop Teemu running directly on goal or in behind on his own, then you've actually dealt with a significant amount of Norwich's threat. Likewise, cutting off the spaces on the edge of the area that Norwich like to take advantage of too, which is kind of why I'm sensing neither Burnley, West Ham or Palace today really minded when Norwich had possession and built it up the thirds, because they could kind of wait for them and feel confident they would stop them. So that is a worry, because again, Norwich have three away games, they haven't scored a goal. It provides a problem that Daniel Farke's got to work out, because you know they've obviously got to mix it up more, maybe offer a different threat, maybe they've got to do something in terms of taking shots from distance, which I mean that was where they kind of looked most likely from scoring at Burnley. But again, you're kind of relying on something a bit special then, regardless of the fact that you're hopefully doing it with special players. So I mean, the concession later on, Norwich are pushing. There are spaces. They literally just changed shape for a third time to a 3-4-3. So you know, fair play to Daniel. He made his second change on 65 minutes, I think. So no accusations of things not really being changed quickly enough. But you look at someone like Josip Drumic coming on, and I've not really seen him do anything yet, to be honest. I think clearly he's not going to be mobile and pacey and dynamic. So Norwich have got to work out how they do that, and they are keeping Teemu on the pitch with him, which at least gives him a runner around him. So there are quite a few bits and bobs for Norwich to work out there. And again, we can kind of box it all off at the moment, because Norwich's away form is worse than their home form, which has obviously been very good. Obviously, case in point being their last time out. But that does put the pressure on Villa coming to Carrow Road next weekend, because you know we are now saying Norwich's home form is good. Let's keep that going. But they've got to protect their confidence, and they've then got to deliver a result at Carrow Road that backs that up. Otherwise, the fears we have about away from home will start infecting what's going on at Carrow Road, and that's kind of the hardest challenge, I think, about being a side, you know, looking to stay in the Premier League. The big questions, they hang around, and you're always having to figure them out, and because there are fewer games, you end up having longer to think about them, and hopefully more time to figure them out, and that's what everyone at Carrow Road would say. So that was mostly today on the pitch, you know, whichever. But clearly the huge issues in terms of injuries now. Ralph Farman comes on, looked pretty solid, and then limps off straight after the penalty because he's basically aggravated the groin issue that was going to keep him out. We'd only been training Thursday and Friday, I think, of the week just gone. So Michael McGovern played the rest of the game. He did fine. But Norwich, having had 3 goalkeepers in their 18 against Manchester City, have now only got 1 fit goalkeeper. Tim Krul won't be back for Villa. I think there possibly might have been an outside chance, but I think it's hugely unlikely. So and Norwich can't really rush anyone because they need players fit. They can't aggregate them. We did see Max Aaron's back today. That is of course a big boost. Flip side of that, I don't imagine Sam Byram is, I'm not necessarily saying it was overly harsh that Sam got taken out, but I wouldn't say that individually he did particularly much wrong against Burnley. And Farke's trying to have to find the balance between keeping the side fresh and giving people opportunities compared to sticking with them. So Sam's kind of been on the rough end of that one, I suppose. Jamal Lewis may have broken his elbow. They're going to have scans and check how that is, but of course that could be some time out if he's managed to do something like that. And I mean, the injury record is nothing short of a disaster, and we keep saying it's only contract injuries, and it does seem really unfortunate. But I don't know. I'm starting to think, well, is there a physicality issue? Are Norwich built strong enough to be able to deal with this level? I don't know. I guess it's just one of those horrible things. You can guarantee everyone at Norwich who has any sight of the treatment room will be doing their utmost to get people back and ready as quickly as possible. And in fairness, they did that, of course, with Max Aaron's. It just doesn't half make life considerably more difficult. As you can see, the lawnmowers are out, which isn't really ideal for trying to do a video report. So I think I will move on. I did have something else pop in my mind then, but I can't remember what it was. I'm sure it's incredibly important, but to be honest, I've got to figure out how to get home. And Norwich's worst record of any ground now is at Selhurst Park, or certainly in the top flight, whichever, I don't know. NCFC numbers put up, good old Steve put up a cracking stat. I can't remember what it was, so look at that on Twitter. But yeah, I finished here 2-0. Norwich have got another couple of injuries to deal with, and another week to sort it out before Villa arrive at Carrow Road. It's going to be one hell of a game. And we're going to need a very similar atmosphere to the one that the fans produced at home to Manchester City. So we'll see how things tick by. In the meantime, make sure you check out The Athletic, where I'll be writing my piece from this afternoon. I'll be with you probably first thing Monday morning, and hopefully a few interesting bits and bobs over the course of next week too. If you are watching this on Facebook, thank you very much. On Instagram, thanks too. Make sure you give stuff likes and follows so you know where to go. And if you're on YouTube, give it a subscribe so you know when I'm posting these things up. Bit of personal news, I have a desk to work out at home, so in a roundabout way might mean that I can do some more midweek videos if everything settles down. We shall see. I will keep you in the loop, of course. But in the meantime, enjoy the rest of your weekends. Don't get too down about it. Just save up all your energy for Saturday when Villa come to town, because I think Norwich could do with a point or 3 right there. See you later.